need people to understand that school teaches children how to intellectually self-harm. Okay, intellectually, and how to harm their own critical thinking in advance. You think you're teaching them something, the school is breaking them down. What do you think the point of the state founding school is? We've heard about what schools have done to other ethnic groups, right? What they've done to the Native Americans. But let's talk about what they're doing to American citizens, because for some reason we think we've all skated the problem. History's not history, it's perception control, it's national myth engineering. It trains you to loop stress through patriotism and curated memory, and rewards repeating state-approved distortions. It's a state manual. It teaches the empire's tools disguised as knowledge. And here's one of the things: what America calls teaching is usually just training civilians in the taxonomy of past weapons, not to disarm them. No. It's not saying, hey, this is what Rome did, so this is what we're gonna do to stop this from happening to us. No. It's to normalize, mythologicize, and eventually wield them against yourself and others. The whole point is that you're not being taught how to metabolize pain. You're not being taught how to spiritually disarm the systemic harm. You're not being taught how to recognize narrative loops. You're not being taught how to exit cycles of destruction. This is things that are history and our ancestors have figured out before. But here's the thing. Here's what you are being taught. You are being taught who wielded the power. You are being taught how they did it. You are being taught what tools they used and which one of those worked to make a civilization. But really all that goes on is look at this war, look at this rebellion, look at this surveillance method, but never look at what cost the soul. Look at what this looping trauma remained. Look how much of it remained. Look at what was never processed and what grew because of it. People don't get it that an average textbook is just a weapon index. You're barely even reading history. You're reading a user manual for state entropy. It's sanitized, glorified, and it's devoid of metabolization. And its ultimate goal is to teach you not necessarily the events. Not the events. The goal is to teach you how to narrate events for state power retention. How to narrate your own history to maintain state power retention. You don't believe me? I'm going to just show you some things. See, we can start with 9/11 because it gets talked about like it's a tragedy, but it was manufacturing consent for global surveillance. But see, it is a tragedy. But this is the point. The whole point is to get you to narrate your life in a specific kind of way. Instead of saying, like 9/11 was a tragedy, civil rights was inclusion, World War II was good versus evil. That's what they always try to frame it. But what the truth is that World War II was a rehearsing of moral exceptionalism to justify power. That's all it was, because that's all that came out of World War II. Power. What's the name? And then civil rights movement talking about inclusion, all it did was sanitize revolution into digestible heroes whose names we could throw around all day. I'm even a guy who has to grow through some of these things. And then the other issue with 9/11 is that they can talk about it like it's a tragedy, but literally, the biggest thing that we hear about 9/11 in remembrance of it is the start of the global surveillance network. That was 2,000 deaths that got all forgotten in the surveillance network chat. This is literally how it happens. But hold on. We're going to go through the other subjects because they're not safe either. Math is just obedience to symbolic absolutism. It's logic without meaning. Pattern replication is more important than synthesis. No ethics, no ecology, no embodiment. Next, science. Science is state acceptable inquiry framed by the industry. Curiosity is confined by empire. Empirical supremacy is taught as objectivity, and they rarely reckons with what the cost of progress was. We don't get to hear about victims. We don't get to hear about what birth control did to all those women. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. The goal is so you enter society non-disruptively. English and language arts, it really was a curation of the voice within, right? But within acceptable frames. Curating of the voice within acceptable frames. It gets you to think properly. It gets you to write for approval, not presence. Voice becomes a clarity of grammar, not a clarity of soul. And reading becomes decoding instead of becoming. But also art is completely disrupted as well. It's permitted dissonance with performance constraints. It's allowed but contained. It's graded, rubricized, and de-radicalized. Ritual, revolt, rebellion? Rarely allowed. But those things are where art used to shine the brightest. See, like you gotta get it. Physical education is not safe either. It's embodiment regulation and competitive conditioning. The body trains for discipline, not intimacy. And when I'm talking about intimacy with a person's self. A person who knows their body gonna be a better athlete than most people, period. But that's not what they teach you in school. They just teach you discipline. They externalize power. They rarely teach consent or emotional literacy at all, which is why you see a lack of emotional literacy in sports. This is literally how they do it. It's on purpose. But then also social studies. Social studies, to me, one of the worst classes you would have ever taken in your whole life. whole life. It's an intro to role performance and group assimilation. You learn your part, not your presence. You get taught to label, tolerate, and predict. You not to metabolize, not to confront, not to transform, just to predict. But then technology is an initiation to interface dependency. It worships tools without spirit. And also tech is seen as neutral, necessary, and inevitable, which it isn't necessarily true. And they rarely show the soul altering infrastructure behind a lot of these technologies. How badly the camera can affect somebody. How badly a person consistently seeing themselves in videos could affect somebody. They don't talk about this. Or even talking about how technology abuses and mistreats the environment. They don't walk through this at all. Because is technology cool? Yes. Yes. But should we talk about it honestly? Yes, so that way we can get better ways to use it. And then here's the thing, because I want y'all to stay with me. Stay with me on this subject. What is school actually doing then? That might be a question you have. See, it claims that you're doing critical thinking in there. What you're really doing is pattern recognition within acceptable frames. It claims you're doing memorization. What you're really doing is loop retention of curated knowledge. It claims to be socializing you. It's really peer surveillance and competitive identity performance. You claim to have taken an assessment, but really all that happened was that you entered a reward system for legibility, not insight. Discipline? Sure it was. It was ritualized time compliance for labor markets. That's all it was. School as a state tool. That's all I can say about it. School is a state tool, just like the camera or the algorithm. School is an entropic device. It's an entropic weapon, and it becomes a weapon when presence is replaced by performance, when silence is punished, when wonder is standardized, when difference is pathologized, and when metrics override meaning. It's the first interface within the echo chamber that trains the body to loop, right, instead of metabolize. That's all it is. You weren't meant to be graded. You were meant to grow into coherence with your calling. That's all you're meant to do. But that can't happen, right? That can't happen in a building built to normalize observation, feedback, and fragmentation. Sound like a jail, don't it? A lot of school is signed up for jail. It's because patriarchy is designed to put more men in jail. So they just create situations where it's okay. You can actually see how this whole thing happens. You can also see how why they would target young black women, because young black women are also targeted for suspensions at a higher rate. And the whole point of this is because you're being trained how to operate for the state, to protect the state. It's not neutral. School's not neutral. I just need that to be known. School is not neutral. School is not neutral. Like, it's hard to tell people that. It's hard to tell people that. Because you wonder why your kid go to school, come out worse. Duh! The point was to break him. That was the point. I don't know. Just thoughts.